As much as some people might despise electric vehicle or EV are gaining in popularity, but what if you are not ready to switch into the EV lifestyle just yet? Then a hybrid vehicle, specifically HEV or hybrid electric vehicle, can be a good stepping stone. This Nissan Kicks e-Power Hybrid, for example, is the most affordable HEV SUV in Malaysia. It also represents an all-new model from Tanchong Motors Malaysia in a very long time. So let's check out the new Nissan Kicks e-Power SUV. The exterior of the Nissan Kicks, size-wise, is positioned between the A segment and B segment SUV, with an overall length of 4,219mm. Up front, all Kicks gets the familiar Nissan V-Motion grille that is flanked by this slim-looking LED projector headlamp with LED indicator as well as LED fog lights. Towards the side, the ground clearance is rated at 175mm and all Nissan Kicks rides on these 17-inch dual-tone alloy wheels, wrapped in 205/55 series tires. Design-wise, there is a floating style A-pillar and a rising beltline towards the rear. There is also a subtle and functional roof rail up on top of the vehicle. Towards the back, the familiar Nissan family design is present, like the boomerang-inspired tail lamp, which are all LED combination. Inside the rear hatch door, there is about 423 liters of boot space on offer, making it larger than the HR-V hybrid. Inside the cabin, the base Kicks VL gets a black fabric seat with blue stitching, while the higher level VLT gets leather seat, finished in two-tone black and mocha color. Space is generally good for both front passengers, and the driver have plenty of steering and seat adjustment. The 8-inch touchscreen infotainment system supports both Apple CarPlay as well as Android Auto. And all Nissan Kicks get standard automatic climate control. Okay, so here in the back of the Nissan Kicks, I would say space is adequate for this size of car. Okay, in terms of amenities, okay, I have dual map pocket, which is quite nice. And then on top of that, I also have two USB charging port. Okay, one on the left, one on the right. The seat itself, I would say, is generally very comfortable. Okay, I do have decent amount of thigh support. The back angle of the seat is slightly upward than what I would like. Okay, but overall, the general the general vibe back here is decently comfortable. This front seat is adjusted to my driving position. I am 66 centimeter of height. In terms of leg room, I have decent amount of leg room thanks in part to the front chair. It has this cutout that does make maybe two size worth tennis ball. Okay, headroom as well. Even though I'm sitting upright, my spiky hair is not touching the ceiling. Okay, and there's still some amount of distance from my head to the ceiling. Overall, the general comfort back here is good for a B segment SUV. Unfortunately, I don't get any center armrest, but most of the competitors also don't really have a center armrest. For parents, I'm happy to report that this car does include ISOFIX child mount, so putting a child seat is not really an issue. In terms of leg room, I have enough amount of leg room, decent amount, and yeah, overall the space back here is okay. Prices for the Nissan Kicks starts with the base VL model coming in at 116,300 ringgit, while the upper level VLT will set you back 124,300 ringgit. Adding the two-tone roof color is another 4,000 ringgit on top of the VLT only price tag. All Nissan Kicks comes with a 5 years or 100,000 km warranty, as well as a 8 years or 160,000 km warranty for EV components for that extra peace of mind. Okay guys, I'm in the driver's seat of the new Nissan Kicks SUV. So this is the Kicks e-Power Hybrid. Okay, so as the name suggests, so this car is a hybrid vehicle. So before I go on about this car, let me first explain to you how the e-Power system works. So this e-Power system, generally speaking, the Nissan Kicks, okay, it is actually an electric car. Okay, so the electric motor is the one that propels the front wheels. This electric motor is supplemented by a 1.2 liter 3-cylinder petrol engine, that acts as a generator that powers up the battery. So the battery is the one that will run the electric motor that runs the front wheel. Upon my first impression getting into this car, so what's it like to drive? So I'm happy to report that immediately when I got into the driver's seat, I pressed on the pedal, the electric motor, it does give that immediate response that usually associated with electric vehicle. Off the line, the car feels very responsive. There isn't much delay when it's compared to a regular NA or naturally aspirated car. From a standstill, this car accelerates very well. Not really an issue. With that being said, the acceleration on this Nissan Kicks, it is not as fast or as sprightly as a traditional EV vehicle. Think of it as a slightly more powerful regular car rather than a very powerful EV vehicle. What's the car like to drive other than its acceleration? Now, in terms of insulation, I'm happy to report as well that I don't really have a lot of noise inside here, mainly because this car is running electric motor, so it's relatively quiet inside here. And the only noise that I receive is when I under full throttle and the engine kicks in. So that's the only sound that I listen lah. Now, in terms of driver visibility, I would say this car is not really an issue. Front window is very big, and the dashboard is dark color, so it's relatively easy to look forward, and I don't get any reflection onto the windscreen. Now, in terms of my driving position, actually sitting in this car, I'm actually sitting low in the car, and this seal is high lah, and then it kind of makes me feel like a little bit sporty, right? Now, the one thing I also want to highlight is the seat. The zero gravity seats by Nissan. I think it's very comfortable, and it is supporting my body where I need it to be. In terms of thigh support, I have very good thigh support. And then the bolstering as well, it is hugging my body very nicely. Now, in terms of this car handling, so this car is using independent MacPherson front suspension, and of course, with most SUV in this price range, it is using a torsion beam setup. But driving this car around town, I would say it's not something like, it's not like sharp handling compared to something like a Honda HR-V. But at the same time, I would feel like the handling of this car is actually quite acceptable, and in no way, shape or form that I feel this car has a roly-poly effect. The car feels very planted on the highway, and the steering wheel as well, it does aspire driving confidence. In terms of the interior of this car, I'm currently driving the full spec VLT. So the Nissan Kicks is available in two trim level, VL and VLT. So the upper VLT trim, it gets this nice two-tone leather seat as well as some soft touch material on the dashboard. Now, the color that they use here is sort of like this maroon color, and I very much love this color inside here. It does make the interior look more expensive than the price would suggest. Towards the center stack area, I am seeing a lot of piano black finish. It does give the interior a rather upscale feel. Now, the cup holder, I love. The cup holder is very deep. So yeah, bigger, taller bottles will not have issue putting inside here. Now, because this car is the hybrid system, like most other hybrid system in the market, it is using this rather unique looking gear shifter. So it's one of those electronic shifter where you press the button on the side, you hold it down, you go to drive, and then you let go, it will go back to the original position. If you want to park the car, and then you press the P button that is located on the shifter itself. In front of me, I also have a in the speedometer area, half of my speedometer area is a LCD screen. So the LCD screen does show me like what is the current state of the battery, and then what is the charging rate, as well as whether the engine has been switched on or switched off when I am driving this vehicle. So the information, it kind of reminds me of like the older Prius image, you know, like the battery goes to the wheel, and then you have the engine that is charging the battery, and then power is sent to the electric motor. So all of that is quite relevant lah in this screen. Now, just now I talked about how this car handles. Okay, it handles generally quite well. Now, another thing I want to highlight as well is how well this car suspension system, okay, going over speed bump or bumper, I would say it is generally comfortable. Okay, it is not stiff in any way or form, and I feel like the ride quality is very, very refined and very smooth, right? Now, another thing I want to highlight is that with this car, the full spec VLT is this safety system. Okay, Nissan's call it the intelligent mobile something, I forgot. I will put the name in the description. So for the top spec VLT, like the one I'm driving here, you are getting the full suite of ADAS systems. So that includes forward collision warning, autonomous emergency braking, lane keeping assist, okay, dynamic adaptive cruise control, okay, that is also included, as well as rear cross traffic alert and blind spot monitoring. But bear in mind, if you opt for the lower spec VL, okay, you will lose out on the rear cross traffic alert. The 360-degree camera as well, you're going to miss that out. You're only given a rear backup camera, and then lane keeping assist as well is not included. Okay, as well as the adaptive cruise control. If you get the VL, you will only be given the standard type cruise control. Okay, the center console as well. Okay, you do have this armrest, which is quite nice, and then the leather on top is very, very soft. So overall, what is my impression of the new Nissan Kicks? Okay, so I think the Nissan Kicks is an excellent alternative choice. Okay, if you are looking for a small crossover SUV that gets excellent gas mileage. Okay, so if you are a type of person who's not ready to go into the full EV lifestyle, then I would say a hybrid is a good choice. Okay, so for this Nissan Kicks, I think generally it's a nice car to own. Okay, inside here, okay, yeah, it feels quite how to say, nice, right? In terms of its visibility, I think it looks I think it's okay. Okay, looking at the back as well, the mirror is not, the rear glass is not that small, and then looking in front, I don't have any weird mirror shape or glass shape that is obstructing my view. Okay, the seat is generally comfortable, and overall I think the Nissan Kicks makes a solid case for itself as a B or A segment crossover SUV.